Thank you very much, Joan. Good morning, everyone. So, as Joan introduced, my name is Ababa. I'm currently working in the Ministry of Agriculture and also pursuing my PhD at Bahar University. So, my professor is also here. So, I'm very happy being here. So, I will be presenting a paper on this comparative analysis of land policy instruments to tackle land fragmentation in the face of mounting climate risks. So why I choose this paper is because land fragmentation is becoming a serious problem in the world, I can say, but mostly in developing countries. This land fragmentation is also a serious problem that impacts productivity, that impacts climate adaptability and climate sustainability as well. So I will be presenting this paper. So these are the agendas. I will have introduction, and I will touch the different land policy tools that can be used to tackle land fragmentation. So until this time, most countries, they have been trying to implement land consolidation as a solution for land fragmentation. But I'm saying in this paper that there are also other alternatives, like different alternatives, different tools, policy tools that can be implemented to mitigate the problems of land fragmentation. So I will have also conclusions and policy implications. So as an introduction, this land fragmentation is a serious problem in terms of administrative, in terms of productivity, in terms of investment. So when there is land fragmentation, that land fragmentation creates a serious problems for administrative matters, for productivity, so on and so forth. So this is a problem, really a problem, and it limits the application of modern agricultural types of machinery. So since it will be very difficult to implement, to apply these agricultural machineries, different mechanization technologies, that will also impact productivity. So this land fragmentation is, actually, I took this definition from these people. So land fragmentation is defined as the situation in which a single farm or ownership consists of numerous spatially separated and non-contiguous land plots. Actually, land fragmentation can be defined in different ways. So, like these are the characteristics of land fragmentation. So, having numerous small parcels, for instance. For instance, in Ethiopia, we have so many land fragmentation cases whereby individuals, they own like up to 37 plots, very small plots, like those 37 plots they are not more than 2 hectares, but in number those plots are like up to 37 plots, and they are regular. They are scattered in different parts of, for example, different places that are considerable distance from homesteads, considerable distance from parcels each other. So there are no absence of infrastructure, different infrastructures like roads, so on and so forth. So this land fragmentation makes cultivation labor and time consuming, and it's very difficult to apply also modern agricultural practices. So the objective of this, my paper, is that the main objective is to prepare a comparative analysis of different land policy instruments that can be used to tackle land fragmentation. So as I said, it's not only land consolidation that can be applied to mitigate the problem of land fragmentation, but I assessed different land policy instruments, and also I comparatively assessed those different land policy instruments in terms of different criteria, like in terms of cost, for instance, in terms of policy implication, in terms of sustainability, so on and so forth. So actually, this is a review paper in general. Totally a review paper. So I used secondary sources of data, like 100, close to 100 papers. I reviewed 100 papers, which are written on the subject matter. So land policy tools that can be used to tackle land fragmentation. As I said, there are numerous land policy tools. So one of the finding of this review paper is that it's not only land consolidation. Land consolidation is costly, actually. Land consolidation is the best modality, the best policy instrument that can be implemented to tackle land fragmentation, but it's not only land consolidation. We can also apply different land policy instruments, and these instruments can also be combined within a comprehensive strategy to tackle land fragmentation. So I will look at these different land policy instruments. So these are based on the review that I made. These are mostly the instruments that can be implemented either separately or in a combined manner to tackle land fragmentation, at least to mitigate the impacts of land fragmentation. So the first one is land consolidation, voluntary parcel exchange. You can also apply that one. Farmland subdivision restrictions and creation of family farms. For instance, this is also another policy instrument. Land sale, there are countries also which apply land sale, even mandatory land sale, and also land swapping. There is also a policy instrument, expropriation, for the consolidation of small parcels, and land use consolidation, like cluster farming, cooperative farming, and contract farming can also be applied. So when I look at one by one these policy instruments, land consolidation, this land consolidation is the process through which the small land parcels or shares in land are exchanged for one or more larger parcels that are approximately equivalent in land value to the original holding. So this is just consolidating the ownership of different parcels. As I said, for instance, in Ethiopia, there are people who have like about 37 parcels. So this land consolidation will reduce the number of parcels like by 3, up to 3, 4, something like that. So that will have different impacts, positive impacts in terms of productivity, in terms of reducing cost, in terms of reducing the cultivation time, so on and so forth. So it creates those parcels more economic and rational size, shape, and location after land consolidation. So land consolidation can be also used to improve the infrastructure in terms of rural development, in terms of addressing land fragmentation. So these are the different benefits of land consolidation. So as I said, this land consolidation can be taken as one policy instrument to mitigate the impacts of the negative impacts of land fragmentation. So for instance, if I go one by one on the benefits of this land consolidation, it can reduce the number of oxen required. For example, in developed countries, once we implement land consolidation, it can reduce the number of oxen required to cultivate the parcels, for instance. It can reduce the energy required. It can reduce the time required to cultivate the different parcels, the fragmented parcels. It reduced boundary disputes even. Because before land consolidation, people, they will have different neighboring landholders, neighboring boundaries. But after land consolidation, the boundaries will be like will be reduced. So it reduces boundary disputes. It helps to manage crop residuals. For instance, post-harvest loss. There are a lot of evidence which shows the impact of this land consolidation on reducing post-harvest crop loss. So this is also another importance. So it can avoid the tragedy of anti-commons, because land consolidation, one of the major impact of land consolidation, or the major advantage of land consolidation is creating environmental friendly areas. For instance, creating forests, for instance, creating public spaces, for instance. So it avoids the tragedy of anti-commons. It will have its own impact on public and communal areas as well. So these are also other advantages. The second one is actually voluntary parcel exchange. This is not like land consolidation, but the government can coordinate, for instance, can convince people, landowners, to exchange their parcels. And this voluntary parcel exchange will have also an impact of land consolidation at the end. But this is a soft alternative because it's limited to those people which are exchanging their parcels. So it will not have a comprehensive impact, but rather it applies to those individuals who are eager to exchange their parcels. And at the end, it will have also its own impact in bringing land consolidation. At least it can reduce the distance fragmentation of the parcels. for instance, can bring the parcels close to the homesteads, for instance. So this is also a sort of alternative, as I said. It can be applied as an alternative or jointly with land consolidation projects or initiatives. Farmland subdivision restrictions. Most of the countries, I assessed, and most of the papers I assessed, they put these farmland subdivision restrictions as one mechanism to mitigate land fragmentation, the impact of land fragmentation. This is like once we implement land consolidation, for instance, or even without implementing land consolidation initiatives, like putting a farmland subdivision restriction will have also an impact in protecting further fragmentation. So this is very important. So without these farmland subdivision restrictions, even implementing land consolidation will not have a long-lasting impact. So this is another alternative. So and this requires also creation of family farms. So if we restrict, for instance, subdivision, for instance, at the time of inheritance, for instance, at the time of donation, different transfer mechanisms, we need to have a legal framework, policy tool that creates family farm. So that those individuals who are acquiring land through inheritance, through donation, they can have their own family farms without subdividing their plots. So this is also another alternative. Land sale, land swap. There are also countries which apply this land sale, even mandatory land sale, where individuals who have very small parcels are required or forced to sell their parcels to the neighboring landowners. This is a policy tool. So a parcel which is below a certain threshold, if that is the case, the owner of that parcel is required to sell to the next landholder. So that this creates land consolidation. This creates a bigger land that can be used to increase productivity. This land swapping is also another alternative. So it involves land contract transfer, as I said, used to combine small fragment land parcels into large ones to realize land use consolidation. There are countries, as I said, that incentivize. Actually, incentive is there. So it's not only forcing people to sell their land. It's not only forcing people to swap their land. Rather, the government incentivizes this kind of consolidation through land sale or swapping. Like there are countries which provide, for instance, 5% of the sale price, the market price, to the seller, like 10% of something like that. So this incentive mechanism also encourages people to sell their small parcels to others. Expropriation, this is also another mechanism. So the government, based on the law, expropriation measures are necessary to make land available for enlargement of farms. So this is equivalent to forced purchase, expropriation on small plots, and consolidate them with the neighboring. So in some countries, like the government expropriates land, like forcefully purchased land, when the parcels are very small in size, and then the government sells to those individuals who have bigger plots, neighboring landholders. So this increases the land size and then increases the productivity of the land. Land use consolidation. There are also different land use consolidations. So the first one I talked about is about land consolidation in general, the ownership consolidation, the holding consolidation, where people they consolidate their fragmented land parcels. But this one is land use consolidation. It's not about consolidating land, rather it consolidates the land use aspect of their land. So it focuses on consolidating the land use of various parcels owned by different individuals, not the ownership, as I said. And these are the most common land use consolidation types. For instance, cluster farming. It's common in different parts of the world. For instance, in Ethiopia, this is common. So where this cluster farming is where people, they bring their land together and they cultivate together without consolidating the ownership aspect of their land, and then they divide the productivity. So it has its own detail actually. So this cluster farming is one. Cooperative farming is another mechanism. cooperative. People, they form cooperative arrangements by bringing their parcels together. Contract farming is another one. So there are also countries which have legal framework for this contract farming as well. So this contract farming, like, is a contract actually made by individuals who have land and also other people. Sorry, who need the product of the product of that land. So this is contract farming. So these three are the land use consolidation types, not the land consolidation.
You can finalize.
Yeah. So in terms of environmental sustainability, this land, I mean, the policy tools to mitigate the impact of land fragmentation is the impact of actually these policy tools is rural development in general. So rural development is the broader objective of the policy tools. These policy tools should be based on the land use plan actually. So when you say land use plan, there is environmental sustainability, environmental mitigation in it. So one of the objectives of these policy tools is environmental sustainability. So environmental friendly areas will be also created, like forests will be protected in these policy tools, swampy areas protected, so on and so forth. So environmental protection, water retention measures, flood protection, so on and so forth are also part and parcel of the policy tools. So if you want to bring, if you want to bring this environmental sustainable land administration, land governance system, like applying the policy tools to mitigate land fragmentation is very important. So conclusion and policy implication, just land consolidation is not the only mechanism to manage land fragmentation. Other measures, as I mentioned, can also be considered to mitigate the impacts of land fragmentation. So it's also very important, very critical to have comprehensive policies. So these policy tools, some of them might not work in some countries. For example, land sale, so land swapping, they cannot be applied in some, in some countries where land belongs to the state. So this requires comprehensive policy and laws for the management of these policy tools. Thank you very much.
You did stay within the confines of time. It's okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. So I suggest you take note of your questions, and then we will have a discussion at the end. Is that okay? After the three presenters? Yes. So that is very interesting. I know at the ECA and at ALPC, we are grappling with issues of land use consolidation and actually examining that issue at continental level. So very excited about the work that you're doing and interested to have that conversation with you moving forward as well. And I'm sure others here are. We are going now to move to Madagascar. I think a lot of us are quite interested to hear what's been happening in Madagascar. It's been a while since the land policy processes have been ongoing. So I want to introduce Professor Peri-urban, I hope I'm saying that right, who is going to make a presentation on the land reform in Madagascar, looking at rationales, achievements, and institutional changes. You've lived in Madagascar enough to, like, just as long or maybe as I've lived in Ethiopia, about 20 years, is that? 10?
12 years.
12 years, that's a long time in Madagascar. And you're based at a center out of the university in Antananarivo. They're doing, it's a think tank, TANE, and doing quite a bit of work related to land conflicts and many other of those issues. So for those who want to interact with you, I think on those issues, which I want to, because we do have a project coming up in Madagascar, we would have that conversation. But interested to hear about the land reform process and where we are now in Madagascar.
Exactly, that's the point. Good morning, everybody. The presentation and the paper, it's about land reform in Madagascar. It's a collective work done with my colleagues Erinian Rakutumanale and Emmanuel Bouquet. But more exactly, it's a comprehensive synthesis of different research, and you can find also references in the paper. It's more to communicate on the land reform. So, okay. It's changed here, but not here.
You needed to go back? What about if you use the tool to go back?
Okay, maybe okay, just a brief overview of Madagascar to get a broad picture. The country has 23 regions and 1,700 communes. Lots of communes. You have to have this in mind. And the population has 30 million, and 3/4 of them live below the poverty line. And 4 out of 5 households earn their living from agriculture. Okay, and the average farm size is very small, is below 1 hectare. What about the land reform? The land reform is ongoing since 2005. So it's about 20 years. And it is based on 2 major innovations: land decentralization at commune level and land certification. I will explain this better later on. Thank you for this. And the land reform had 3 main objectives. The first one was to overcome the pitfall of the former land titling system, who mainly benefit to political and economic elites. The second objective was to provide the new security to a majority of rural households, thanks to a low-cost, easy participatory process. And the third one, as lots of land reform, was to foster economic investment, economic impact, investment, access to credit, etc. But we have to have in mind that in Madagascar, contrary to other African countries like Ethiopia or Rwanda, land certification is on demand and not based on a systematic demarcation process. So it's a sporadic process. So after 20 years of reform, what has been achieved? It's a question, and we have for sub-question, how land reform is really implemented and appropriated at both national and local level. What are the equity effects? That certification is really massive and inclusive, or it's still the preserve of the elites, but at a smaller scale. And what the effects at the household level, economic effects, and then what was the effect in terms of governance? As I said previously, this communication offers a comprehensive synthesis of different research endeavors undertaken by a dedicated team of scholars and experts spanning over a decade. Our team, with lots of Madagascar colleagues that are not here today, we were seconded at the Land Observatory, and now we are seconded at the university. In all our different research, the data production was based on a mixed method approach, combining qualitative interview, lots of field visits, and also a specially designed survey on large sample of households, from 400 households to 1,800, and some in Panama. What are the rationales of the land reform in Madagascar? We have to understand this, we have to get the situation prior 2005. No, prior 2005, all land belonged to the state, except the land title in the name of private individual. And all land was managed by the land administration, the central state services and the deconcentrated land services at the level of the district or region. And the only way to secure land tenure was to obtain a title. But in 2005, there was only 600,000 titles that were issued. And the procedure was very complex and costly. It takes an average of 6 years and $500 to get a title. When you know how the household are poor, it's totally impossible for them to obtain a title. So there was a considerable gap between the legal system and the local tenure, land tenure systems with the S, because there are multiple, I have no time to explain them. But from a legal point of view, most of the rural households were not recognized as landowner because they did not hold any formal land title. And as you saw, land title were inappropriate to meet the need of people due to poverty, but also due to the priority given to the legitimacy of right based on custom and local rules. So the land reform was based on three major innovations. The first one was a new legal category that allows legal recognition of local right to agricultural land. It was labeled untitled private land. And it gives a first legal protection to all land occupants, even if they do not have any formal documents. Okay, so it's a new legal category. The second innovation is our communal land offices. Thanks to the reforms, the commune really acquire new powers. It's really decentralization of land management. And once the commune have set up a communal land office, they can certify plots and register plots on a specific local land use plan and on a specific registry, and they can issue land certificates. So there is a plan, there is GPS, and everything is registered. So now what about land certificates? They really share common features with land title. Land title are issued by the land administration and certificate are issued by the communal land office. They both are on demand and based on a fee-based procedure. They both register private property rights, and both are transferable and mortgageable. Land certification is not a second zone title. But they really differ in the process. Certification and registration differ because certification register only existing land rights. Conversely to title, when they are issued, it's when the administration decides to allocate land deemed to be part of the state domain. Okay, so it creates a right from above. Certification is based on local skill deployed by local actors, and it uses simple tools, only GPS and plan. The certificate applicants do not need to provide any formal documents. Everything is based on a local commission. The certificate applicants can register property rights, provide the local commission agrees the claim rights by consensus. So priority is given to legitimacy and not to technicality. There is no strong instrument. And it's cheaper and faster than title. Certificate costs $10 to $15, and it takes 6 to 12 months to get a certificate. No, okay, that's the main legal innovation, but now the implementation at national level. Okay, compared to different countries, after 20 years, the pilot stage of land reform was well and truly over, happily. 1/3 of the commune have set up a local land office. And certificates are on the way of supplanting title. About 1,300,000 certificates have been issued, which is not that much compared to Ethiopia, but compared to title in Madagascar, it's a lot. But this deployment of communal land office has been really uneven over time, and it was totally in line with donor funding and political crisis. So a lot of communal land office was created 15 years ago, but now the rhythm is very slow. And the deployment of communal land office has been also uneven across the region. Also, the local offices are located in the most densely populated and accessible areas. That reflects both political and operational rational choice in order to reach the maximum of people, the maximum of voters in the shortest time, in the logic of development project. But it really also reinforces territorial inequalities in terms of access to public services. So what was the effect of certification at household level? Okay, certification is not yet massive, as it was hoped by the father of the reform. But on a countrywide scale, certification does not reach the majority of citizens because they affect 13% of an estimated 4 million of households. It's not that big, but it's bigger than registration that affects only 2% of households. Certification is not massive, but it's inclusive. Certification benefits all household profile, and the statistic and econometric model in our other publication do show some really positive trends in access to both certification over time. The poorest households, the less educated household, migrants, and women as head of household or as individual owner. But in the less positive note, on case of joint ownership, some certificates are registered in the name of only one person. And it's very frequent on plots belonging to a couple that are often registered solely in the husband's name. Certification has a little impact on investment, access to credits, or increased market transfer, and because the market were already very active. But two outcomes of the reform that was not mentioned in the initial objective was to the provision of free information and advice on land tenure. And it was very precious because people sometimes have perceived tenure insecurity because of lack of information. And it was a consolidation of the role of local land management institutions, so two key dimensions for land tenure security. But this process encountered lots of difficulties and power struggle. The policy is reflected not only through action, but also through inaction or blockage driven by actors with divergent interests. And the decentralization of land management in Madagascar has led to a strong redistribution of power concerning land management. And then it has sparked strong tension inside the state apparatus, but also among the different stakeholders. And then if we want to see how this new land tenure security system was appropriated, it's interesting to position the different actors on a graph. It's very schematical, but on a graph organized from left to right according to reformative or conservative trends, and from bottom to up according to the importance of means of action in policy definition. And then communal land office and certificate were not contested by local and traditional authorities because certification is not that massive, and they are involved in the certification process in the local commission. So they didn't have any interest in opposing land certification. Local land offices are well appropriated by commune, but they are struggling to finance this new institution. So now maybe 30% of the commune have closed their local land office due to lack of tenants. And some are trying to compensate by increasing the cost of certificates. So there is some impact in terms of inclusion. Communal land office and certificates are really well supported by representatives of civil society and development operator, and depending on the period and the government and by elected representative, but with irregular impact. Because even together, civil society, development operators, and elected representatives, they struggle to really influence land administration practices, because this later is really strong in the state apparatus. And then this mechanism are strongly supported by donors that manage to put land decentralization back on an agenda, and they manage to deblock the different situation by financing large projects, by supporting society. But yes, this decentralization is regularly weakened and limited by land administration. The land administration has implemented different action aimed at restricting the authority of commune and complicating the certification process. This action goes through changing legislation, delay in delivery of plans, mandatory control, increasingly complex procedures. So that slowed down the deployment of the reform, but also that slowed down the development of new rules that are essential for the sustainability of certification, like all the regulation of transfer and the updating of the land registry. So what are the policy implications and prospects? First, improving certification process, and to that inclusiveness need to be extended through continuation of reduced fees and systematic plot census with subsidized operation as it was done by the development project, by maintaining a technical sample and low-cost procedure, what is always challenging by the land administration. We want to complicate it, and sometimes some donors who want to add some very complex tools, but it will change the cost of the procedure and then its potential inclusivity. And then to provide better information regarding the possibility of registering all the parties on the certificate, both spouses, sibling, or larger collective. And yes, we need this new rules to update the certificate when they are transferred, even if it will be a big gap between realities and register, and it will be like the title system, and the land information won't be updated. It's important to deploy communal land office in each commune, but also to have technical and financial reinforcement of all communal land office. And there is a major challenge of expanding communal land office intervention zones. For the moment, they can only certify agricultural land, but it could be very interesting for local people if they can also secure pasture land or forest land, or more largely all community management land. And yes, the issue of governance and power, that can be really more decisive than technical issue. And okay, land reform is necessarily a long-run process with significant power struggle, but we are always in project or in speeches. We need to encourage debate, but it's really crucial. It's not only to have debates, but to increase the level of information and skill of actors involved in this debate, and really to have different representatives of the main stakeholders, and not heavily we need a greater involvement of intermediary bodies such as civil society, trade union, farmer association, elected representative. And also government technical service, not only from land affairs, but from the different ministries. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you for finishing ahead of time. Great. A lot to ponder on as we wait to ask you a lot of questions. I'm interested in what the contribution of government is, because I know there's a lot of donor presence in terms of especially of the financial support, because sustainability will actually mean domestic resources. What does that look like, for instance, in terms of the reform process also? Thank you. So our last but not least paper is very interesting. I like the way we are moving from the murkiness of what to do with land that has been fragmented to a long-term reform process that is going on to actual land administration on the ground and the use of technology in that respect and mobile phones. So this is an exciting one where we are incorporating technology. And I'm pleased to introduce Mr. Waldum, who is an expert, has been an expert in land administration, has a lot of experience on issues of remote sensing, both as on the computer side, on the land administration side. So it's a combination of those, which is, I think, very valuable, especially for us on the continent anyway. And you are leading some, some of the programs in Gistu's room, the LIFT program, looking at issues there, or in the Ministry of Agriculture in land, in the LIFT program. Land administration, GIS, and computer science. I'm interested to, I'm sure everybody is, to learn how we can incorporate mobile phones to amplify some of these and simplify, provide access to rural pathways.
Okay, thank you, John. My name is Waldu, as John properly stated my profile. So currently I'm working on the Ministry of Agriculture on the rural land administration system. So today I will speak on the current dynamics, which is disrupting like the service provision. You may know in the food chains, in the logistics, this mobile delivery are disrupting on the process. So my research paper will focus on how this mobile service delivery is going to disrupt the rural land administration service provision. So my presentation outline will be focused on three broader sections. I'll focus on the current challenges, which are breaking the formal registration of rural land administration system, which is in a broad way. And the second one, following this challenge, what are the interventions we are putting in place to solve those or to counter those challenges? I'll focus on that. And the third one will be the results or the impacts of these interventions, which are providing success in our system. So before diving into the details, I just want to give you a kind of broader progress that have been made in Ethiopia in terms of like this land certification program. So as you know, Ethiopia has a huge or large land cover, as you know. So we have like 50 million parcels in the country. This is only for the highland areas. That doesn't include the lowland area, all the pastoral areas. So far we have come through a long way to register all these parcels. So as you see from the slide, we have already demarcated and surveyed around 30 million parcels. And out of these, 25 million certificates has been distributed to the rural land households. And out of these 7 million households are certified, because the ratio is not 1:1, it's 1 to many sometimes, because a rural household may have like more than parcels. And more interestingly, the certification program has given a chance to store around 20 million in our national land registry. This is very important. Now, okay, this is a great progress in terms of like certifying land certifications. But this progress has put us in a different swing that we have to maintain and update these 20 million land records. Okay, fine. In terms of this land certification program, as you see from the map, we have covered all the highland areas. Most of the highland areas are covered, but the other white, most of these are lowland areas, which we call it these pastoralist areas. So far, we have around like 450, we call it Warada, or you may understand it as districts, have been covered by the National Rural Land Registry System. We call it the system for our national land registry called National Rural Land Administration Information System. It is a cadastral management system where you can store, capture, retrieve, and disseminate land-related information. This is our cadastral information management system. So we have already gone through, deploying and configuring on those more than 450 districts throughout the country, which is massive. We have around more than 8 million land-related transactions have been transacted. Those are transfers. We have applied around 9 regional states. As you know, Ethiopia is the federal government. So we have plenty of regions, but this land certification program is covered around nine regional states. As I say, these are 20 million are already captured in the database, and almost highland here in covered. But this is a success in terms of, as I say, like providing this second level land certification. But there is a subsequent operation we have to maintain, which is once you capture all the certificates in the database, you have to maintain and update. Otherwise, it becomes an obsolete. All right, it becomes an obsolete. This is the global challenge, to be honest. But as I say, to see what are the factors which are making this formal registration of land certificate, we have come in detail and did a kind of thorough studies and research on 48 districts, all right? 48 districts out of this 150 wardas. And we have come through, these are the findings. These findings will not give you a sleep, all right? So imagine out of these 48 districts, we have like 10,000 samplings. We have interviewed and approached 10,000 rural households to ask them how the formal registration is being carried out. Unfortunately, result shows this 28.6% of the rural households say they are visiting the land authorities more than 5 times to get a single service. I may request to transfer my use right to Tegustu, and I go to the land authorities, so they have to maintain and update and provide me the new certificate because I'm transferring my use right. But unfortunately, rural households are traveling or visiting more than five times to the land authorities. So we cannot say service is efficient now, right? This is one challenge. Go down, you can see. So to shorten up, this is a finding. You may see like the last one, the blue with white. You can see 31.6 out of this 10,000 is only following the formal way of transferring user rights. Okay. The other one, they are preferring or choosing to transfer in informal way. So this is a challenge for us, which we need to we have to solve. Okay. To further see in depth, okay, we took this is one district. This is one district, And we analyze the problem further looking into in details. And this is for information, one district with 70,000 parcels. You know, this is this district has 70,000 parcels being stored in the database. So we represented one transaction with one dot. We use dot density mapping to show the distribution of the land transactions. Okay. Now, these areas, these are remote areas to the Woreda center. This is a Woreda center, Woreda town. Okay. I could say roughly these remote areas are around 40, 50 miles away from the Woreda center. Imagine a rural household living here, okay, with no infrastructure, very remote, okay, is coming to the Woreda center, traveling like 40 to 50 miles and requesting a service where the land authority is, asking again and again, and the rural household is visiting more than 5 times as per the system. Now, there is a huge gap. Now, so as the rural households prefer not to come here and formalize. They prefer to transfer their use right here in the informal way. Meaning, there is disparity between the database we have and the chain being maintained here, right? Clear? This is the challenge we have. Okay. If you see in terms of like representing proximity to the Woreda in terms of 3 kilometer buffer, okay, I put it in 3 kilometer buffer to see the distribution. So if you see in 3 kilometer radius, land transaction per square kilometer is like 28.3. When it goes down, you can see how the accumulation or the percentage of transactions are reducing, you see? Meaning, the more you get far, the number of transactions are scattered, all right? So there is high accumulation here, meaning more of the adjacent, the people who are living to the capital town, the Woreda town, okay? With all those infrastructures are transacting in a formal way. Why? In a contrary, when you go to the further to the remote areas, they prefer formal using the informal system. So this is a kind of detailed analysis on the problem. Now, okay, this is a challenge. To solve this challenge, we have come up with mobile service delivery. Okay, instead of like the Woreda center, the bank office center, sitting here and wait to get an application from 40, 50 miles, we propose, the Woreda office or the back office has to move into the remote areas, set up office, temporary setup office there and provide service. This is what we call it. We brought this as intervention to bridge the disparity between the timely provision of service to the rural areas. So that is the intervention we researched and piloted in some of our districts. In the result, you will see the result. That's surprising. Okay, so in terms of result, what has that changed? We have 2 indicators. We have set 2 indicators to see post and pre and post scenarios. All right. So one of the indicators is change in implementing performance of the Woredas. The service provider has to change its performance. All right. And the second indicator is change in service quality and customer satisfaction. Are those living in the remote areas of the district, are they satisfied with the service profile post intervention of this mobile service delivery than the previous one? So the result shows we have also this households that 5 sub indicators or criteria. One is the number of households who served by the back office or the land authority. Is it increasing or reducing? And second one is the traveling distance. Distance as a factor, as you see before. The main factor is that creates the disparity between the rural household and the service provision is the distance one, the traveling distance. And the other one, the volume of that transaction being captured or transact pre and post office mobile service delivery. And the other one is transaction cost. A rural household is charged a cost to finalize that formal way of land transaction. So in terms of those, there is significant improvement. Okay. One of the improvement was like the Woreda Land Authority has been providing service for 100 households per month. All right, before the introduction of this mobile back office center. But post introduction of this mobile center, this Woreda Land Authority served 234 households within 5 days. Within 5 days. You know why? Because they moved to the remote areas, set temporary office there, people comes to there and get the service. You can see in terms of the household or the customers who has been served before and after. The second one, same traveling distance has been reduced on average from 90 kilometers to, I don't know, I put it in kilometers, you can convert to miles, from 90 to 2 kilometers. Okay, I'll show you in detail. So in this case, this is an average. A rural household has been on average, traveling 90 kilometers pre-introduction to mobile service delivery, while after is only traveling 2 kilometers. Change. Land transaction is volume or extent of land transaction being captured. And the rural land administration has been capturing or processing 120 per month, okay, 120 transactions per month. Why? After the introduction of this mobile service delivery, the World Authority processes 348 transactions only in 5 days. You see? It's like the same, you can see the food chains, mobile delivery is one of the famous areas in food delivery and the other. So transaction cost, surprising transaction cost, a single income household who came from 40 to 50 miles to the World Center has been charged like the expense covered for complete that service was like on average they have been paying 2,155 per pre-introduction mobile service. But after that, this cost becomes nullified. It is zero. You know why? Because this is being served in their doorsteps, right? This is very fundamental, to be honest. So processing time, surprisingly, the World Authority has been taking like 22 days after getting an application from the rural household to complete or to finalize that request. The World Authority has been taking on average 22 days, but after the introduction of this mobile service delivery, it took only 1 day because they are right on the spot there. Okay, they travel there, finish, they return back on the same day. So this is in terms of change in performance of the rural land authorities. That shows. The second one is change in service quality and customer satisfaction. I'll take on this. Now, in terms of this customer or the rural households perspective to service satisfaction. Now, service receiving time, when a rural household requests to get a service, as I said before, it's been like visiting like 5 times. Now it's unified. It's the overall average time taken for the landlord to get a land certificate transaction service has significantly reduced from, it's been like 40 days on average. Now it's 1 day. So you can go down having these indicators as well. So these are the details. You can see distance. It's been like these are the centers. they are established centers. So you can see how the figures are dropping. The same time, as I say, the awareness level of landholders. You can see this is a quote taken from the interview landholder. Even they have been, suffering to get one of the interview. I would like to read this. This is a very interesting one. So the interview. This is a quote from the interview. Rural household. Look, going to the rural care service was even more difficult for the poor and elderly. Earlier, women or mothers were cheated to rent their land cheaply. Sometimes they might only get a quarter of the actual cost. Now they have better awareness to negotiate reasonable prices formally within the setup of the mobile bank office center. Even it's further, you can see the change in livelihood of the rural households are available. So these are the findings or the results post introduction to mobile service delivery. So this is the recommendation part. I will not cover because time. Photo gallery, I have very nice photos as well. Look, when we do the mobile, we have like 3 steps. We have to move the system, the cadastral management system, because we have to process and capture all the transaction right there in the setup office. So now we have this portal mobile equipment in materials where we have to backpack and move to the remote area. This is a portal generator because we don't have any electricity in Ethiopia, even in the rural sector. Okay, I'm not talking about the urban sector, by the way, just focusing on the rural sector. So this is a portable generator, portable generator. It works for 80 hours in our case. Okay, this is 3-in-1. A copier, printer, and the scanner, which we use as the backpack, a very small one. Mover is portable because we have to, scan and print this new certificates. Okay, this is the backpack, and this is 2 laptops used to connect and process the knowledge system. One at the server and one as data entry. And it's a folder, and then we use motorbikes to move to the wallet. This is a photo. For example, these are the stuff they have backpack all the material. They are moving into the remote areas. Okay. This guy is providing awareness to the landholders who request service there in the remote areas. Next one is you see, these are the materials. You see, these are the portable generators, and these are the team and temporary office is set up there, already there. So this is the final printed new certificate with a new order, okay? And this is landholders who are getting the certificate right there in their doorsteps. Thank you very much.
First of all, thank you for the animation. That was wonderful, and just the passion. I mean, it just shows the passion translating from the field to us here who have a lot less passion, I think, sitting somewhere in Washington, D.C. at the World Bank, and it just transmits and it makes it real for all of us. I think we really appreciate that. But I think we've had 3 really interesting papers, and I think a lot of countries would have been comfortable with 22 days for receiving a certificate. That was a challenge for you, and you reduced it to 1. I'm just saying a lot of countries would have been very comfortable with 22 days because some of them are taking so much longer to do that. So there's a lot to learn. And platforms such as this allow us to look for where the lessons are. I don't know how long it takes in Madagascar. I think you mentioned a little bit about that as well. But once the offices are up and running all over the country, maybe they can start off with. My hope is for mobile phones. I still think we can get there with some apps. There are a lot of Ethiopians who are developing very interesting apps. So what it used to, maybe one of these days it will be farmers with an app, so that even the backpack is reduced or the motorbike is reduced to somebody's, people sitting there. One day, still possible.
That's one of the recommendation we put there.
Is that right?
Making it digitalized or paperless.
Yeah, it's really, it will, but this is just amazing. I like it. So we've had some really interesting papers in good time, which gives us a lot of time for discussion. I would say about 45 minutes, because we are here until 12:30. Just 45 minutes. And we do have some interesting people in the room. All of us are interesting, but we have, I think, people who have inputs, not just questions, inputs, additions of how the systems are working. Dr. Gistu is here. I see my colleague here, who has been on the ground for many years as well. So if you have anything to add, just jump in. Let me know when you want to jump in and add a little bit more about how this is panning out and how it looks for the rest of the country as well. But let me open it up to your reflections and questions, please. Do you want to come? All the papers.
I have a question. In Madagascar.
Please introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm Carol Rockford from Renova Solutions. So did the 1.3 million certificates replace the 600,000 titles? Or they're in addition to the titles?
I directly answer.
No, we will. Do you want to wait for a little bit?
Well, it's up to you how you want.
Yes.
We have 45 minutes.
You have 45 minutes. Yeah, so let's take about 5 and go, or maybe 3, do that so that it can be a conversation in the day. Yes, please.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Brenda from Amazon in Brazil. About Madagascar, sorry. Maybe building on that. So just to understand, the certificates are like an intermediate step until the person actually get the title, or they are different documents, or if they get the certificates, they can then apply for the title in the faster process. Just I want to understand how they relate to each other, and also if these certificates can be sold, or and if not, if there is any penalty. And for again, just a clarification. I understood that this mobile office center applies to those who already have a certificate. But is that also applying to those who doesn't? So they can actually apply for a certificate using this also this mobile center?
Okay, I'll take one more. Yes, please.
Maybe for the Madagascar.
Introduce yourself, please.
My name is Amanatis. I came from USA. Thank you. I think I heard you saying the land has been a public property except private ownings. I was not very much clear what does that mean. I mean, we have this private freehold system, and in that freehold system, we normally development for many things, but I'm wondering what is the current status and the land claim regime in Madagascar. That would be great. And the second one, thank you very much for the impressive presentation. Land consolidation. I'm not sure if you empathize very well on the challenges, and particularly given as a person in Ethiopia. I mean, they are very well. In Ethiopia, the soil characteristics is very different. Like it's not homogeneous like other countries. So you can have variation in 100 meters of distance. So black soil, red soil, clay soil, like here and there, and fertility also differs from one person to the other. So people have that risk direction strategy when they have these different classes. So wouldn't it be a challenge to promote land consolidation in such very diverse soil characteristics? And if we hear any best experience from other countries, that would be really great. And finally, I would like to congratulate the Ethiopian Minister of Agriculture for reaching to such level of like 25 million certificates. A lot. So I couldn't imagine like 6-7 years people when we're struggling to a few 100,000. So this is really a big achievement. And I recognize managing the transaction is something we need to get prepared for that as well. But I wanted to recognize It's really big achievement. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll let you respond, and then we'll move to
Okay.
another round.
Certificate and title are different documents with the same legal value. Okay, so you can opt for a title or for a certificate. But you cannot, if the land is already titled in the name of a private individual, you cannot ask for a certificate on that land. It's the reason why there is a local land use map of its satellite images, and you have all the information on the title plan. So you can ask certificate only on untitled land. So certificate are in addition to title, and they really concern different people. And certificate can be sold, mortgage, everything like the title. And the land tenure regime, before the reform, and it was in the land administration with an old current system. So all the land, it was a presumption of domaniality, presumption that all the lands belong to the states. Okay, and if you want to have right to ask for the title, so there was thematically two big categories: the land belonging to the state and land belonging to the individual, the private lands, registered through with a title. It was that. And in the state land domain, you have the public one, and but with the reform, you have a third category. It's all lands.
The community land, is it?
No, it's not really community land, but it could be like customary land,
Customary land.
appropriate land, cultivated land. And it's a new category. And you can validate and register your right through certification. And then it's reversed now. There is not a presumption of state domain, but it's a presumption of private property. Now the state, if he wants to use the land, he has to prove there is no occupants on the land to use it. So it's a big change in perception, not in practice. The land administration still think it owns all land.
Carol, is yours answered?
Yes, but can you apply then for lands that are untitled or not issued a certificate? Can you apply to the state to privatize that? So could I get, say, ask for 1 hectare of land and get a private and turn it into private land through a title?
State lands.
Yes, if there's not a presumption that everything is state anymore, can I request?
No, you can still do it.
Oh,
And it's and there is big controversies of where the untitled private land ends, the one who farmers can ask a certificate, and where the state domain ends, where companies or other people can ask for a title. Notably in peri-urban area. And the land administration prefer to say that it's still state domain. And they can deliver title to company, to enterprise.
Very good. Will do.
Okay. So thank you very much for the great question. I think let me explain in a broad way. I mean, in a process wise. I think Ethiopia follows like the systematic adjudication system, unlike Madagascar, like on demand base or this sporadic. So meaning let us take one district. Okay, so people living on that district, we go there and systematically adjudicate and survey all the parcels. So at the end of the day, all the person, I mean, the rural households residing in that district will get certificate, okay? But the thing is, after this process, there is, we usually call subsequent transactions, okay? Sorry, your name?
Brenda.
Brenda, you may get this certificate during the system verification, okay? But having this certificate, you want to transfer your right to the other people. Maybe we have like around 23 transaction types. Maybe you can transfer through give or inherit. You may inherit, okay? You may rent out. You may get mortgage. You may divorce. You may need your boundary corrections. This is if are transactions. Okay. Now, if you want to do those things, you have to apply, okay, to the land authorities. Okay, fine. This is my certificate, but nowadays I want to rent this. So please register or restrict or process my transaction, my request on your database. The database has to be maintained, all right? So in that case, that the mobile service delivery applies. Okay. All right. That's clear, right? So meaning this intervention will work for those who get land certification. For those who don't have this certification, meaning that's the systematic education. First, we have to go there and provide the certification first. Then we have to maintain the subsequent transaction. That's clear. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Okay. Good.
I have a follow-up question just to.
Sure, I wanted to do that because we have time. I wanted to make sure that, yes.
Okay, so have you thought about how have you optimized frequency of going to the different areas, the remote areas, and the locations you choose? And how are the households informed that you are coming, say, next week, and how do you determine those locations?
Yeah, excellent.
Just walk up somewhere?
Excellent. That's a procedure. We have a procedure to apply this mobile back office center. I'm afraid not to go to details, but there is a procedure. One of the procedure is we see the frequency depends on the volume of applications, okay, in that different remote areas. If you go to the remote area, it doesn't mean that there are enough applications, okay. If no, you will discover and change. So we have this kind of planning issues. So our staffs go to the remote areas, okay, see if there are enough applications of those, then we will select that. That's one of the criteria. It depends on the demand. If there is no demand, we don't have to establish mobile office there. So rather we go to the other. So one of the criteria for the procedure is if there is enough collective application. That's one of the criteria. Then after we will set up. So we switch, we switch things. Once we deploy here, finish. If there is no enough application there, meaning there are no households who are requesting this, then move to other. Okay, the frequency depends on the volume or extent of application collected in that area.
But how do they know you're coming?
Okay, we have this during the planning, we have kind of assessments. One of the assessments, our staffs go to the remote areas, get engaged with the rural households. It's a kind of their visit is a kind of twofold. One, they see if there is enough applications. The other is they provide awareness to the landholders during the gatherings. We use different modalities there. So if there is application, they call the number. Okay, this amount of application are there. If no, they will provide awareness for the people. If you want to transact in a formal way, please follow this way. We are moving. We are establishing mobile offices. Don't worry, we will come up to you and serve you. Okay, people will get to know more about this service, and next time if they have a desire to apply, they can. So we have this kind of revisiting programs. Our staffs go to the Kabbales, see, inform people, and then
Do they post on the Kabbalah?
yeah, they all have in terms of public awareness creation materials, and we have enough of that.
Yeah.
These posters, brochures.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, we have also campaign programs where we use these different gathering occasions like church, mosque, and a lot of things.
Yes, yes. Yes, I think I wanted that to come out because they know in most of rural Africa, the church is really important. The religious centers are really important as sources of information on almost everything. So including on sales of things as well. So that's a good one. Thank you. Was it related to that?
Yes.
It's just
No, maybe one question from Dr. Zeno.
Dr. Zubin, no.
can come back.
I wanted to make sure there's nothing burning that is so related to continue.
No, it's really related. Yes.
I'll take these two and then we'll be done. Right? Very quick. And then
Before the household has to come and they spend money. Now it's the minister who has to invest to finance this mobile service. So it's very nice, but how it will be managed to finance the motors, the podium, all the things. And in Madagascar, the land administration services ask people to come back 5 times, not because it's complex, but because just want to demand corruption. So it was a question of corruption, complexity of why they took 5 days, they asked people to come back 5 times, and now they managed to resolve the transaction in 1 day.
Yes.
one second, let me see. Is that related to this one as well?
Yes,
Okay, just take note of that. Yes.
thanks. Over and above the findings which I was going to ask, I'm Nagedi Asha from Deeds Registration South Africa.
Okay.
On the improved turnaround time, we can be excited about it, but my input would be to look at the risk of fraudulent certificates with that, because I did not see anywhere where you are addressing how to mitigate the risk of fraudulent titles. One, from the publicity that you are talking about, publicity campaigns, you would include, awareness around how a person can know that the registration is genuine. For example, I could take a bike and wear similar clothing as yours, have a computer, go to the places and tell them that I'm from the ministry and register titles. How much does it cost the title?
How much is it?
And pocket. I'm saying that the improved turnaround time is all well and good, but I think we need to build in controls to make sure that people have got authentic certificates, and they must be aware of what constitutes an authentic certificate.
Especially when you are applying it to some countries.
Yes.
Maybe not in Ethiopia, but maybe in some of our other countries in Africa. Yes, so and Tikistu, you can jump in as well on issues of cost, especially in terms of costing. Somebody was asking about, who's, the financing components as well. Feel free to do that, but I'll let you go first.
No problem. I think why the rural house are rebuilt in 5 times. It is very simple. It's because of the bureaucratic nature of these land authorities. We need to break that authority. Nothing else. You go to the land authority office, Ababa is the head of that, is in a meeting. They say, Ababa is available there. You go there, the staff will take, okay, I received your application, please wait like 2 days, I have to work. This is bureaucracy, nothing else. The procedures are clear, everything clear. That's the weakness of these public officers, right? The reason or the factor is that's the problem, nothing else. We need to break this bureaucracy. Okay. Of course, sometimes not only bureaucracy, sometimes you may find like the weakness of the institutional take-ups, Sometimes in some part of it, you may not get enough skillful staffs as well. Not only that, you may not get as well enough material. These are the issues. But you could conclude they are revisiting pipeline because of the pipeline. And that's why I say it's legacy processes. If you see in my presentation, it says one of the factors is legacy processes. Some of our districts have these legacy processes. Okay, they request you this required document, bring this. That literally diverge from the legal framework or the procedure we have. Some of them may request you, John may request you, oh, bring me this. Legacy process and bureaucratic lines are affecting. That's simple. In terms of payment modalities, payment schemes in Ethiopia, on that as well, it's different than other countries maybe. Ethiopia provides this land certificate program for free. Okay, it has its own dichotomy and reasons as well, but we Ethiopians provide this land certificate to the farmers for free. The state provides all these certificates for free, and all the costs incurred during the process is paying. The government is paying for that with different development partners as well. So that's it. No certificate now. I mean, no service fee is requested by the government, but we will not follow that way. That's one of the recommendations. We try to apply this next time ahead. But there are dichotomies for me. For you, it's an advice rather. I would take it. It's a serious one, good one. In terms of technique, I can speak a lot. We have authentication. Our certificate in terms of system, we have barcode readers like that. It's not someone will provide this. It has its own barcode reader, and the system is built on 4i receptors. Okay, but I will take your advice while moving to the remote areas. Yeah, as you say, maybe some people may get their motorbike and project. That's what. But for now, when we do this, by the way, there are authorities, not only from the district, zonal, and regional. Okay, they are aware. Even Abdul who is leading all these initiatives on the federal level, he is aware. Okay, while these things is being carried out, But as an advisor, I will take it. And it's a good one. Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you want to say something?
Yes. Thanks.
Sorry, I'm sorry. We'll come to you.
Okay, thanks. Simply to add, to clarify things.
Introduce yourself, though.
Okay, I'm Tudus from the Ministry of Agriculture, Ethiopia. I'm a director of that department, Rural Land Administration and Use. In Ethiopia, rural land is managed by Ministry of Agriculture, and urban lands are managed by Ministry of Urban Infrastructure. It's a difference. So I'm from Ministry of Agriculture. In Ethiopia, for the last 10 years, we have implementing systematic registration, not sporadic registration. So this systematic registration is mostly supported by the government, by capital budget and partners. We have different projects funded by different countries, UK, USA, Finland government, GIZ, World Bank, different ones. So the government decided the first systematic registration should be not loaded to farmers. So over the cost, all costs is by government and development partners. Just after systematic registration, as Waldo explained, there will be intensive service provision. So through service provision will come sporadic registration there. So after just during service provision, now we are preparing different cost structures, which service should be paid. So in the future, just after some years, we are giving that assignment to consultants to provide us which service should pay more, which one is less. So that may help us to recover our costs in the future. That is very important. The other thing very important to know is in Ethiopia, we have 12 regional states. It's a federal government, 12 regional states, and we have about 1,000 districts throughout the country. Now this information system is installed and operational in 450, around 460 waradas. Each warada, each district has about 20-25 kabalis, the smallest unit, administrative unit kabalis. You know, each kabali, each smallest administrative unit has a front office. It means it has land administration experts, one expert at the smallest administrative level. So they can receive the application. And the process will be at district, because the district is the smallest administrative Kawali has only one expert. They don't have a capacity to process that one. At the same time, there is nothing at the smallest unit, because there is no computer, there is no electricity, a lot of data. So everything goes to warada or district level. So at district level, we have a number of experts that can process. But the main problem is, as well expressed, the distance from warada, from district to county is very far. So the service should go to should be closer to the farmers to some extent. That's why we are establishing a mobile back office center. It is simply decentralization of service provision. Simply decentralizing. We are decentralizing the waradas to some small areas, but it's a mobile exercise.
Yeah.
That's all.
It's amazing. I mean, when I went to do research in Ethiopia, I was struck by how well decentralized it is with the Kabele. Everybody has access to a Kabele office, which is not there in many countries. So, and that Kabele office it has so many departments. It's almost like a mini government in itself. So it's accessible, but then if the expertise is not there, if the technology is not there to process, but the applications can be made, right? So the applications, they already know the applications because everybody can apply because you have access to a cabinet. But then who is going to come and process? That's what they are doing. So, I mean, it's just amazing. I would encourage people to go and visit. And just
at the same time, we have posted a video in Google. If you browse about mobile bank office here,
yes,
it has a subtitle in English also. It clarifies it.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for that discussion. And sorry we have spent so much time on it, but it was interesting. Please go ahead.
Yeah.
Answer your question and then let's get some more discussions going.
Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, this land fragmentation is also linked with, knowing the status of land fragmentation is also linked with this land registration. So in Ethiopia, we have conducted one big survey using the land registration data, using the land information data, and we found that land fragmentation is at its serious stage. So there are people who have, as I said, up to 37 parcels in some areas, 20 parcels, 15 parcels. So on average, for instance, they travel there are people who travel 19 kilometers from their homestead to their parcels. So this shows the seriousness of land fragmentation. And this data, the land registration data, is also very important to know about the status of land fragmentation in that country. So as Dr. Zaman rightly said, there are challenges, not only in terms of land consolidation, in terms of other policy tools, there are their own challenges. So a fit for purpose type of policy tool is also very important. So in some areas, land consolidation might not work. In some areas, land use consolidation might be the best. So this fit for purpose land fragmentation management tool is also very important. So for instance, in my paper also I included there are legal challenges, for instance, policy legal challenges. Some of the policy tools I mentioned might not be implemented in some countries, in some areas, for instance. There are cost issues. For instance, land consolidation is very costly. For instance, I remember in Serbia, the cost of land consolidation is more than the price of all the parcels. So actually that is one-time investment, so it will pay at a later stage. But for developing countries, this kind of investments might not be feasible. As Dr. Zaman said, this risk diversion aspect is also another challenge. People might not be happy in terms of land consolidation. We conducted this willingness study in some areas. Actually, there are also studies, published studies about the willingness of the people. So what people said, for instance, in Ethiopia is that they are happy with land consolidation, but they put prerequisite. They said that at least they need 3 up to 4 parcels. So they don't want to make all their parcels at one place because they fear this the agroecology, the soil variety, so on and so forth. So they prefer to have at least 3-4 parcels in different areas, but still they are happy at least to reduce the number of parcels to 2, 3, or 4 parcels. So yeah. So in terms of this. In terms of the best practices, yeah, there are countries. Actually, there are European countries. As I mentioned, Serbia is also implementing land consolidation. Rwanda is known for land use consolidation. Ethiopia is also trying. So there are some countries who have been implementing. So finally, what I want to say is that I already said actually, fit for purpose land fragmentation management policy tool is very important. It's not one size fits all. Thank you.
That's good. We are trying to do a continental, we're trying to bring those best practices at continental level to inform the African Union level, because this is a question that many countries are trying to learn from, but a few countries have experimented with it, so this is very useful. Yes. Did you have a question? Yes. Thanks, Ellen.
In face of land fragmentation, what are the household strategies? They do not implement options, they do not do something that you can just foster, instead of implementing something totally new to see what do the households, and then maybe take idea from them practices. I don't know.
I'm not sure if you understand because I'm not
Do they sell land? Do they try to fight against land fragmentation?
There's no sale of land per se in Ethiopia.
Yeah.
So
That's right.
yeah, I mean, and it can be
used, right?
No. No, actually, the transaction we have, Waldo has mentioned already, there are transactions like we can donate, for instance, inheritance is also there, land rental market is also there. So such kind of transactions can also create land fragmentation. For instance, if I donate half of my parcel, then I have to split it that parcel. That is one type of land fragmentation. So such kind of practices create land fragmentation. That is why I also put one policy tool there, like a prohibition of subdivision. So for instance, when at the time of land inheritance, land donation, if the law prohibits subdivision, for instance, below 0.5 hectare, for instance, if the law says so, then those people inheriting can use the land without splitting the land. So that can create family farms, for instance. So that kind of policy tools can also be.
So it's there in Rwanda, for instance, there's a minimum, and it has its challenges as well. There's a formal minimum, but informally, what happens on the ground? Is there a minimum? Is there any move to have a minimum? I know Kenya was thinking about it. A minimum.
Land size?
Yes.
Yeah, we have actually I think rightly said, in the legal framework, we have minimum parcel size. Like regional states, they put 0.5, some regions like others 0.25. But as you rightly said, the informal market doesn't work in this minimum parcel size. Yeah.
Very good. Are there any other questions? Inputs? Good. Well, thank you so much for that discussion. It was a really interesting one, and thanks to those who participated and added to it and brought in questions to give us time to reflect as well. And thank you to our speakers who worked on papers, submitted them on time, got accepted and got themselves here. It's not easy to do all that, and they all seem to have traveled to do that. So thank you very much. Let's give them a round of applause. So,
Thank you.
yes.
Thank you.
That's all.
What? Yes.
I mean, Thanks for your facility.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm going to put for the orientation. And we have a study of consultation.
And you have one, they just, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Someone did have one meeting, and also do. And then we'll verify.
Could do your farming.
But if it's not an obvious.
Okay. It's already
So, and I think restart the other. So I asked my, I want sort of a level of effort for that one thing which I was just talking about. The one, I'd like to, apparently there's not.
Everybody's trying to steal a land, yes. You cannot follow it.
Yeah, I think we need to scale up.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, if you see some solar, you fire one here, the gateway, and another fire on the wall. Probably it wasn't. If you mean for some, it's kind of from the
Yes. Doing it very more. This is where I very jump the gun.
It's not going to.
I mean, I'm submitting that season for explain. That's well,
Yeah.
And way,
they agree to extend.
that's why I'm saying the mobile
Three
one
months to, no, I didn't build.
is not at the station.
And so.
Everyone goes to pay, that's
Give them
the place.
specs to
You
the
know, someone,
server.
but nonetheless, I think we'll see how you manage.
Support.
There is
I don't know for these.
the,
But
the certificate, that your presentation
the
certificate.
rest of it, is all some change requests.
Is it
So anyway.
I came late and I didn't ask. Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. We
Full approach to a problem, you know.
by
As long as everything gets okay.
the chiefs of the land feeling that no, I cannot allow the tech to go. But I think if this can work together with the tribal authority, there are tribal authorities rather than the municipality itself. If they work with tribal authorities, maybe it's something to consider. Because there's a lot of land which doesn't attract investment because of that, basically.
That's also customary land,
Yes,
under customary powers, but
That's
they are not that strong in Madagascar. So it's it's okay to work with a municipality, and always, often it's a municipalities, you have somebody from the family of the so it's articulated.
Is there a lot of within country migration in Madagascar as well? So there will be some increased arrivals in the local communities?
Yes, there is migration from rural area to rural area. And but they can ask for a land certificate, and they are quite motivated because it's not inherited land, and they cannot use social recognition. So they are very prone to ask.
And then can you bond, for example, that certificate?
Mortgage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very important. People can't mortgage, you know, in those kind of places. That's why I'm so interested in your study. I don't know whether you are able to share it.
Yeah, it's already a paper. It's a working paper.
It's on Conf2.
On the conf. We have
Are you registered to the Conf2?
Yeah.
The people on the operational track did not know about the research track.
I'm telling you, that was a horrible thing because even I had to ask Klaus, you are not from the sea event. You are not, I mean, the research track is not well marketed.
Yes.
But the sea event has the other ones.
Yes, I trouble to have information on the operational track. I have only the PDF documents and not the PDF. But yes, I share the link to all the colleagues that.
Yeah, no, he gave me the Conf2 link, but we should have them all in one place, and then you can at least branch off to Conf2 if you want.
Yeah.
But he had to send me the link to Conf2. Like, even I am supposed to be sharing a session that I don't know, you know, why it's not showing up on the program.
It's very interesting what is going on in Ethiopia.
Yes, it is.
Tremendous.
It's very interesting, a lot to learn. The investment of the government is there, but also of the donors is huge.
Yeah, but the government seems to be really
The government,
motivated,
exactly.
Government,
Exactly, which is
in Madagascar, it sometimes is in out.
No, Madagascar. We wanted to do, we have a tool where we are assisting governments to map their resources and look at land suitability, a combination of land suitability and also environmental services, but also superimposing land claims. So that when you are doing investments, especially large-scale land-based investments, you know who claims the land, so that the negotiations don't have, result in conflict. We tried. We were supposed to start this in Madagascar. We're doing it in Guinea and Malawi, and then we wanted to do Madagascar. The ministry is changing. It's changing. It's very difficult.
But
Yeah.
I
spoke to them again. We spoke in November. It was a different team.
Yes,
November.
it's a shame all the time.
Yeah, but maybe now they'll stay up right up there.
Yes, I hope.
Yeah. You take what you take, you can show the other things.
So I have another presentation
Yes.
here. Downstairs.
Thank you. I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you come from South Africa, from
Yeah. Yeah.
So you are in the operational track. You are in the comparative.
Yes.
Great. Okay. And you? Yes. Okay.
Good at you.
Yeah.
I'm
glad South Africa is here.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Okay.
As we speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was super difficult. I'm really that kind of spatial econometrician guy, so it seems, yeah.
It's more okay, thank you.
Thanks.